Hi, I'm Mark Ronson and I'm here in Amoeba to tell you what's in my bag. I found a lot. This here is an album by Patrice Rushen, who's actually kind of one of my favorite 80s R&B artists, but she started off as like a prodigy, like a piano prodigy, like an incredible player, and she made some incredible kind of like jazz funk records on Prestige, which was a great label for all that stuff. So like the stuff that people know her for is more like Forget Me Nots and Remind Me, her stuff from the Elektra era. Her 80s stuff I kind of listen to all the time. Soul to Soul is kind of considered like one of the greatest like UK soul albums of all time. When I was a kid, I had an early single of Keep On Moving, and my friend was so crazy about the song, and like I was the only one who had a copy, so he traded me like 5 CDs. Including Blood Sugar Sex Magik from my Keep On Moving CD single. I have this, but my 12-inch copies of it are so worn down from years of DJing in clubs. And there's certain records that I like that I just own a few copies of because you just never know, you know? This I just checked out like a couple of funk break things because I haven't seen them before, and you know, back when I was more like making beats, most of my weekends were spent like looking for breaks and drum breaks, and there's still that thing that like, even though now I kind of record music a bit more live, like if I see the word break, I still have to like reach, grab and buy it. This is another great band from the 60s, the Young Holt Unlimited, just made some really well-played jazz funk. There were always like really interesting covers on these records. They would always cover like a Beatles tune or something and do it in quite like a, you know, like a heavy groove arrangement. I've always been like really fascinated with like kind of odd covers of songs. It's a Bill Withers album, which isn't one of his most well-known, but it has one of my favorite songs of his on it called Heartbreak Road. Northern Soul. Even though I'm English, it's not something I really know a lot about, and I just saw a documentary recently on it. It's basically this movement in the early 70s in the north of England where times were quite tough up there, people worked in factories, and it was like their weekend outlet to dance. Maybe one night or 2 nights a week was like, everyone went. It was an entire communal experience. The entire town, you know, would go dance, and they were obsessed with up-tempo, fast-paced American soul music. And as it went into the 70s and soul music started to sound more like funk and disco, they didn't really want to have any of that. So they would just keep digging, finding obscure one-off weird, they'd take trips to America to find these records, do anything just to keep hearing new songs that were made 10 years before.
Have love, well, baby, now travel, say
So I don't know a lot of these songs. I mean, the really famous ones are like Tainted Love by Gloria Jones, which obviously is like Soft Cell cover that everyone knows.
Tainted love.
This is kind of one of the seminal great British albums, maybe one of the great British debuts ever. It's just like, it's just an amazing album. I don't need to tell anybody about this record, everyone knows. Gang Starr's first album, no sorry, this is their 3rd album, but I got this when I was like 16 or 15, and I remember having it on tape and just listening to it over and over again. DJ Premier, who did all the beats, probably my favorite hip-hop producer of all time, and I just used to try and like completely copy everything that he did when I was like starting to teach myself to make beats.
So Premier drops beats for me to say verses to, and if I sound doper, then take it personal.
It's just an incredible album, and it's kind of the way that it flows and interludes and things, like it's so well constructed, like it's way ahead of its time. It's just fucking amazing. I love this album. Stevie Wonder, yeah, I mean, it's like Tame Impala. Both of these guys are actually on my new album, Kevin from Tame Impala and Stevie Wonder. Kevin is playing drums and Stevie Wonder is playing harmonica, so they're like jamming. They're two of my favorite. I mean, I know it sounds a little bit crazy to compare Kevin at his young age to Stevie Wonder, but they're equally two of my favorite recording artists ever. And you know, obviously Stevie's a bit more accomplished, but to have them both on my record was really, it's insane. I don't even know why they did it. Now they're like kind of two seminal, incredible hip-hop records that kind of came out when I started off DJing and wanting to make beats, Mobb Deep and Tribe. And actually they're kind of linked because this album in production was like a giant leap forward. Like they were kind of like a kiddie rap group, and then this album came out, it was the best thing ever, and a lot had to do with Q-Tip from this group, who, you know, kind of helped guru a bit of the production. And survival of the fit, only the strong survive. We still living this till the day we die. Survival of the fit, only survival of the fit, only strong. Simon, remember this? That's Dirt Nasty in the background. The Kendrick album, which is maybe my favorite album of the year, maybe more than that. Bitch, where you and I was walking. Now I run the game, got the whole world talking. King Coulter, everybody wanna cut the legs off. When you got the yams. Rap music is why I wanted to start DJing. It's why I wanted to make beats, produce any of this stuff in the first place, regardless of the music I'm making now. So it still makes me excited when there's so many good, new, talented people making really brave and original albums. And this one here is just insane. It's just like, it's as eccentric and wild as like free jazz in parts, but then the hooks, and it's got West Coast G-Funk and George Clinton and Gary Bartz and all these things that I love. And then put together with these just incredibly fucking vivid, heart-wrenching lyrics. This is the new Action Bronson album. This is really great. I actually produced 2 songs on it. That's not why I'm saying it's really great. It's just like a really musical. He's got like great taste in beats. He's, you know, like has his incredible mind and puts together these ridiculously eccentric raps and says things like, I'm wearing very loose pants twice.
Rockin' very loose pants, yeah. Rockin' very loose pants, yeah. Buried $1 million in the sand by the clock tower. Before I die, take a hot shower.
That's all I got.
Bieber.